cloud jumper's quest. In a world far above the ground, beyond the tallest mountains and highest tree branches, floated a land where cities were perched on clouds. These magnificent sky cities shimmered under the sun during the day and glowed like lanterns under the stars at night. The people who lived here were known as cloud dwellers, and their lives were filled with wonders and delights unimaginable to those who lived on the ground below. At the heart of this sky kingdom was a bustling city called Nimbus, where the brightest buildings reached towards the heavens, and bridges made of spun mist connected homes like delicate threads. In Nimbus, there was a small house with a silver roof where a brave and spirited girl named Nia lived with her grandmother. Nia was no ordinary cloud dweller. She was fearless and quick as the wind, with a dream that soared higher than any of the cloud cities themselves. She wanted to become a cloud jumper. Cloud jumpers were a special group of people who leapt from city to city, carrying messages, packages, and hope. They wore suits made from woven stardust and carried gliders shaped like dragonfly wings to help them navigate the currents of the sky. Most people thought cloud jumping was too dangerous, but to Naya, it was the most exciting thing imaginable. Every day, Nia practiced on the rooftops of Nimbus, running and jumping from edge to edge, feeling the wind whip through her curly hair. One day, I'll be a cloud jumper, just like Mama was, she'd say, thinking of her mother, who had been one of the best jumpers in all the sky cities before she disappeared on a mission many years ago. Dreaming is good, Nia, her grandmother would tell her gently, but dreams need strong wings to carry them. You must be ready for anything that comes your way. But Naya didn't want to wait anymore. So, when she saw a notice pinned on the public board one morning, calling for new recruits to train as cloud jumpers, her heart leapt. Without a second thought, she signed her name, clutching the feather-light paper as if it were her ticket to the stars. The jumper's test. The training grounds for aspiring cloud jumpers were set high above Nimbus on a formation of smaller clouds, strung together like a pearl necklace. Naya arrived, eyes wide with wonder and determination. She was among many hopefuls, some older, some stronger, but none with a heart braver than hers. The jumpers in training were taught how to read the wind, to sense changes in the clouds, and to use their gliders to steer clear of dangerous air currents. They were pushed to their limits, leaping from cloud to cloud, balancing on narrow mist beams, and delivering practice parcels to different cities. Naya quickly stood out. She moved with grace and speed, never hesitating even on the longest leaps. But just as she began to feel confident, the trainers announced the final test, crossing the drift gap. The drift gap was the longest space between any two clouds, and only the best cloud jumpers could make it across. To pass the test, the trainees had to leap from the edge of one city's cloud, glide across the seemingly endless void, and land safely on the distant edge of the next. As Nia stood at the edge of the drift gap, staring into the swirling mists below, she felt a pang of doubt. The gap seemed so much wider up close, and the far cloud looked like a tiny speck. She took a deep breath, remembering her mother's words. "The wind will carry you if you trust it." She stepped back, ran as fast as she could, and jumped. The air roared in her ears as she sailed through the gap, her glider trembling against the strong currents, She could feel herself slowing, the other side seeming so far away. Just as she feared she might fall short, a gust of wind, gentle but firm, pushed her forward, and she landed safely on the cloud's edge, her knees shaking, but her spirit soaring. She had made it. She was a cloud jumper now, the dark cloud's shadow. The day Nia received her official cloud jumper suit and glider was the happiest day of her life. The suit sparkled like moonlight, and the glider's wings shimmered with every color of the rainbow. But her joy was short-lived. That very evening, as the cities began to light up for the night, a shadow passed over Nimbus. Looking up, Nia saw a dark cloud, unlike any she had ever seen, hovering above the city. It pulsed and twisted, spreading a feeling of unease. The cloud was blotting out the stars and sending tendrils of black mist spiraling down towards the city. Panic spread quickly. The cloud dwellers had never seen a cloud like this before. It was as if it were alive, with a dark energy that crackled and flickered within it. The elders whispered that it was a sign of an ancient curse, a force that had not been seen in generations. Someone must go up there and see what it is, the cloud jumper chief declared. But no one stepped forward. Fear gripped the cloud jumpers, and even the most experienced looked hesitant. Nia felt a flutter of fear in her own chest, but she knew what she had to do. This was her chance to prove herself, to protect her home, and maybe even discover what had happened to her mother all those years ago. She stepped forward, her voice steady. "I'll go." The leap into darkness. With her glider strapped on and a glowing lantern clipped to her belt, Nia took off into the night. The air grew colder and heavier as she approached the dark cloud, and strange winds buffeted her from all sides. Inside, the darkness seemed to swirl around her, whispering in voices she couldn't quite understand. She had to dodge bolts of shadowy lightning and maneuver through shifting mists that threatened to pull her under. But she didn't waver. Using everything she had learned, she soared higher, pushing through the thick fog until she reached the heart of the cloud. There, suspended in the center, was a glowing orb of shadow, a dark core pulsing with energy. Nia realized that this was the source of the cloud's power. But how could she stop it? As she hovered in the air, the whispers grew louder, and a familiar voice seemed to call out from within the orb. "Nia, is that you?" Her heart skipped a beat. It was her mother's voice. Summoning all her courage, Nia flew closer. She reached out with trembling hands, touching the orb. Memories and emotions flooded through her. The joy of flying, the fear of the unknown, and the strength of a love that never faded. With a great surge of will, she channeled every ounce of her energy into the orb, thinking of her mother, of the cloud jumpers, of the people of Nimbus. The orb began to crack, light bursting through the fractures. With a final, mighty burst, it shattered into a million glowing fragments, and the dark cloud dissolved around her. A new dawn. When Nia flew back down to Nimbus, she was met with cheers and shouts of joy. The dark cloud was gone, and the stars shone brightly once more. Nia's grandmother hugged her tightly, tears of pride in her eyes. "I knew you could do it," she whispered. As for the cloud jumper chief, he looked at Nia with newfound respect. "You've done more than prove yourself today. You've shown us all what it truly means to be a cloud jumper." In the days that followed, Nia continued her adventures, leaping between cities and carrying messages of hope and peace. Though the mystery of her mother's disappearance remained unsolved, Nia knew in her heart that she had made a connection that night, and she would one day find the answers she sought. With every leap she took, she remembered the feeling of the wind beneath her, carrying her higher and higher, just like her dreams. And no matter what new challenges arose, Nia was ready, because she was a cloud jumper, and the skies were her home.